welcome to the
Yeah,
first podcast that we're doing. Forgive the ghetto-ness because, well, it is our first time. But the Mortal Kombat community is on fire, and a lot of people are riding the hype of Tekken, and basically our love for MK is compelling us.
dwindling.
Well, it's not only is it dwindling, but it's compelling us to at least add our 2 cents on what's happening in the
Yeah.
community.
So first, you want to like introduce yourself.
Yeah, so,
About me introduce. You guys know me as Ghost,
yeah,
aka Ghost at Samurai, mainly from MKX
yeah.
and stuff. So yeah, this is my boy here.
Yeah, I'm Zensei, but mostly in the MK community, people know me as Smoke, and we're here to just give our 2 cents on what's happening in the MK community, how we can fix MK1, because I really do believe the game has potential, but I don't think NRS is capitalizing on that potential. So, the first thing I want
Yeah.
to talk about is the identity of MK and what really is MK. Because that's where one of the first problems lie. MK,
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, doesn't have a legacy. So because it doesn't have a legacy, it doesn't have an identity. And due to that, a lot of the times when I feel like when we get feedback for the game, it's not the correct feedback that NRS needs to do better.
Yeah.
So I believe that the first thing we need to find is some type of legacy. If you look at the
Hmm.
different Mortal Kombats, you can tell. Well, I'll be honest with you. Both of us, it's no surprise, we're MKX boys. So there's a special bias to MKX.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
but if you look at MKX, MK9, MK11, and MK1, there's only one MK that had the big resurgence. There's only one NRS game in general. It's not even MK, but there's only one NRS game in general that had people returning back to it in droves because the
Throughout
game,
the years,
yeah,
10
throughout the
years
years,
now, almost. Well,
yeah.
like, yeah. And it's
So
MKX.
right.
MKX stood the test of time. The game keep evolving even to this day.
So at least in our opinion, if you had
Yeah.
to make a game legacy, I would build off of MKX and
Yeah.
took what MKX made good and work on the faults. So a lot of people think that
Because MKX overall system,
yeah,
it had expression
it had it had expression.
compared to like outside of MK9, which you know was good as well. Outside of MK9 and MKX, but especially MKX because yo, the game stood stood the test of time. It been like almost 10 years, right?
Right.
So that show you that the game at its core was deep enough for those like methods to keep developing.
Yeah.
The new MKs don't have that. What you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. That seems to be the mentality of how they design characters nowadays, which leads into not just the legacy of the game, but the design of the characters. Because you see,
Yeah,
Ed Boon's philosophy is a new game every time we make an MK. And it was fun the first couple of MKs, but right now I feel like NRS is running out of ideas. And then due to the time constraints WB have them on, I don't think it's possible to really do that right now. And if you think about it from a business standpoint, doesn't it cost you cheaper to build a game off legacy instead of scrapping your formula every game and starting afresh?
hmm. Simple common sense things,
It's common
but they don't
sense.
have it, bro.
So
Yeah,
I'm not saying that you copy and paste your game every game, but what I'm saying is you add, you build on, you keep building, and you keep building. Because when you scrap something, you take in that process. And it's the
yeah,
taking away of things is which in which allows people to, yeah, in some cases learn your games faster because the skill ceiling is lowered and it's a lot less intimidating. but at the same time, you're taking away the depth of the game. And
Yeah.
that's,
And as we usually say, agony over boredom,
yeah, agony over
right?
boredom.
If people had to really choose pain or boredom, they'd probably choose pain because, like, yo, being bored is like a form of depression. That's not good,
Yeah. So
you know. So like,
that's the problem with Mortal Kombat right now. Its identity and
yeah,
its lack of legacy. The lack of legacy also prevents the game from even functioning the way it should. And as a result, there are playstyles that get neutered or brought to the ground when it's not needed. For example, NRS games have always had very strong zoning. MK9 and Justice 1, all of the above. Throughout
yeah,
all these games, people have been complaining about how strong the zoning was. So NRS simply nerfed the zoning. Nerfing is almost never the answer, unless there is quite
there are no
literally,
answers.
yeah, unless there's quite literally no answers. But I would suggest instead of nerfing zoning, you add system mechanics to deal with the zoning and you change how the zoning operates. Because what Mortal Kombat is it's a 3D game on a 2D plane. It needs to decide whether it's a 3D game or a 2D game.
Yeah, and like, can you go into more depth for people that probably don't understand what you mean
So
by that term? Like,
what I mean by that is you have properties of a 3D game intermingling with this 2D game in which where projectiles will pass through each other. The reason why
yeah,
projectiles pass through each other in a 3D game is because projectiles are not a problem in 3D games. In games like Tekken, Soul Calibur, you can simply just sidestep projectiles. Zoning is not
yeah,
an issue. In a 2D game, there's nowhere to sidestep to. So if you're having a projectile war and you're on the back foot, you're forced either in a checkmate scenario or in some cases an injustice scenario where you have to walk from one end of the screen all the way into the next, and it's just not fun and engaging gameplay to watch or play.
that's why for some reason they refused to bring back the run mechanic from MKX, but that mechanic was like probably the best thing for your game going forward. Like, you should have built on that, right? You should have like kept the run mechanic because it helped people get around zoning.
Yeah. Um. Oh,
But wave dashing itself is not bad. Like, the wave
yeah.
dashing is funny right now too. I like the wave dashing, but instead of nerfing the zoning, these are things that you can think about. Like, for example, your stand switch button. What is the purpose?
No use to the stand switch button. I would
Like,
suggest.
make the stand switch button something like,
Yeah.
other than just doing shit in neutral, like stand switching in neutral.
I
So
I would suggest. You see, when it comes to movement is a basic system mechanic.
yeah,
The movement will allow you to get through the zoning so you don't have to take away, because if somebody what a fighting game is essentially my enjoyment is your suffering and vice versa. So if you're making a fighting game, you need to incentivize all playstyles.
$100.
Zoners need to be strong, mix up characters need to be strong, rush down, neutral. People need to get rewarded for playing well and playing to their strengths.
Yeah,
The problems come when your game does not cater for these diverse playstyles. So then you have the Cyrax meta. The Cyrax meta is not necessarily broken, but it only feels broken because of the game it's in. Mortal
yeah,
Kombat 1 does not have the system mechanics to deal with the Cyrax meta. So the easy solution is to simply nerf Cyrax. But if you nerf Cyrax and you nerf the cameo assist, you're taking away the depth from the game. You're taking away the freedom and the creativity from the game. So you're
yeah,
leaving the game in a boring state. What did we say before? People prefer pain over boredom, but there needs to be answers for the pain. There needs to be relief for the pain every now and then, right?
Yeah.
So the defense
That's why
mechanics,
as broken as MKS is
yeah,
or was, like like most things still had an answer.
most things still had an answer. And
Yeah. There are like no matchups in MKS that feel like a 9-1.
yeah,
Even bad matchups don't feel like there are no 9-1 matchups in MKX compared to like MK9, Injustice 1, and like you could even say somewhat MK11 and 1. Some matchups really feel like a 9-1.
yeah. By no
Like
means,
so
by no means was MKX a perfect game. Neither was MK9. MK9 was a beloved game, but just as I said before, to put the bias aside, if you just look at all the NRS games, there's only one game that has a resurgence or has had resurgences, or at least a major
yeah,
resurgence. That was MKX. So if one game had to be based on legacy, I would start with that formula. Which leads to a point I wanted to touch on when it came to the lack of quality and how things are just declining between WB and NRS. Because we feel like,
like
uh,
also this is the community
yeah,
discussion now, like
yeah, we wanted
communication.
to talk about the community and
Yeah,
simply just we feel like there's been a decline and the games are getting more expensive. So we're paying
yeah,
$70 for a game and the online stability is atrocious. We're having desyncs all over the place. There's no Wi-Fi filter. Well, I mean they added a Wi-Fi filter now, but the Wi-Fi filter thing should have been a thing from since even before MK1 came out. It's been
yeah.
a tool people have been asking for, and now
And
that
it's not even a real Wi-Fi filter. You just get to decline people and that matches.
yeah, it's not really a Wi-Fi filter per se because one would think, okay, simply, you can add the ability to accept and decline matches. I'm not a programmer, but it just feels like simple coding. The feature is already in the game. You allow that feature for rank matches, but because you can see player cards and you can see the player name in general, people are obviously going to duck you in Combat League. So
Yeah,
common sense would tell you to implement some kind of hide feature to allow people, or just hide the player names in general for at least ranked, to allow the player to get their matches in. That's one of the
yeah.
main thing. That's one of the main problems I have with Combat League. And plus, on top of the desyncing, and then you have the state of the netcode, which for some reason is a lot worse than
Than
previous
previous games.
games.
It makes
Yeah,
no sense.
I don't
Like,
understand.
but you see that the reason for that is NRS lack of building on the lack of legacy. Like the same way they change their games every time, everything about their games every time. But to be honest, I feel like MK1 is just MK11 with combos and cameos.
Yeah.
So this is probably like the least changed game. But I feel like the same way they change their games each and every time, they change their fucking netcode instead of
It
like
sure
building
feels
on
like
and making
that.
it better. Like it just feel like they change everything just for the sake. Like it's like they're burned to fuck out and they want to quit, but Warner Bros are like forcing them and they don't want to. You know,
That's why
they
the
don't want to, but they're doing it,
yeah,
and that's where like, I'm gonna get to the point where Abun owe his community an apology, right?
yeah, Ed Boon,
Because you came out and you said that this game, you guys been working on this for the longest time. It's the most freedom and creative game. It got so much to do. You guys gonna really enjoy it when you guys get your hand on it, and you get your hands on the game, and you're like, what is this? Like this game is not 60% of what you promised, or at least what you guys try to, you know, sell us. But as I said, either F. Boone was trolling. They're like when you play with people, money and time, all trolls aside, you need to be serious. Especially when you're selling people something, right?
yeah,
Because people hard earn money. And if you so you also apology for that. But if you actually believe that what you saying were true, you need to retire because as much as I love Ed Boon's a great man, I love Mortal Kombat. You're probably seen that if you actually believe that this game was it.
No,
If you thought this game was it, like as much as you hype it up to be, and you truly believe that, retire Ed Boon. The the developing shit is not for you anymore. And we understand it been 30 years. We understand. You're
there's more
tired.
years behind you than in front of you. You said it yourself.
Yeah, like don't you also apology for real. An
And
apology. Oh,
not only does that feel disingenuous, but the whole thing with WB and the lack of communication, because you have community managers that's supposed to manage the community, but their Twitter mentions are turned off. The comment sections
yeah.
for the Twitter accounts are turned off.
And I don't like it because the energy that you guys put out when you guys were trying to market the game
Was
is
a
not the
hundred.
same energy
It's not
now.
the same
You
energy
guys
now.
was communicating, you guys was talking, telling people, dropping hints, all of this, all of that, replying to people tweets, retweeting things. I know the game is out and the game is in a bad state. No, you guys don't say anything.
Right. So
You guys don't come out and say sorry because you made people spend $70 to like $140. They spent like $140 on this game.
communication is key.
Probably plus taxes and like you know, as I say, what you guys promised is not there in the game.
Yeah.
Invasions, I don't really. I'm not a casual. I don't care for invasions. I try it and I wanted to pull my hair out for the time playing it because that shit is boring as fuck, right? But just overall, you talk about invasions, dude. That is not fun.
Yeah, Invasions. I don't know what Invasions was supposed to be. When you look at because you said that this has been a long time coming. We've made this game. We're positive. We're quite sure that you are going to love this game. It's the longest
Mhm.
in development. The game has
Yeah,
less. The game has less gear. The lobbies don't work. There's that we only now
rooms are
got
not
a
in the game. Like rooms that
rooms
been
are
in
not in the
every MK
game.
game, not there. Like what the fuck,
With,
you know?
the optimization on PC is bad. There's no
So
crossplay.
crossplay is probably not gonna work because PC optimization is horrible.
Right.
A lot of like blank screens and long loading time. So I don't get how console and PC is gonna sync up perfectly with crossplay. Like that is gonna cause a
Yeah.
lot of desyncing for sure.
Yeah. Because if the game already
So
has a desync problem now, and the game has stutters now, even in training mode, the game has stutters. I
yeah,
promise you
I
that.
discovered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I promise you.
I discovered that certain moves made the game freeze,
Right.
certain special moves and stuff
Right. It's not a
in training mode.
it's not a bed of roses on PC. You when it comes to PC, you need to cater for different specs. You need to cater for different locations.
Yeah.
That's a whole new can that you can
And like
open of worms.
and like I said, like Ebon is such a troll and sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's not. Like you put out a tweet and you ask people on the tweet, what do you want to see in MK1 the most? Crossplay, 203, whatever, Wi-Fi filter. And the one that people voted the least for, which was 203, somehow ended up in the game first.
Yeah, it's a
You
bit
ask
of a
people what
straw
they
man
wanted to see
fix.
in the, like
Yeah,
that's the one. No one that was the least voted out of
no one
the
asked for two
options,
out of
and
three.
you put 203 in the game. I
Right.
didn't say that people asked for it. Yes, like what 100 out of 100,000.
Technically,
How did you like? What kind of fuck shit is that? Like that's just bullshit to me.
yeah.
So
So I'm saying the communication needs to get better. It really does feel like WB is holding you guys hostage. And to be honest, I would much prefer if somebody just buys NRS from WB or NRS gets some kind of separation from WB.
yeah,
That's
like
that's when
when we're
things will get
talking about blame, I believe that the blame goes like this. I believe 60% of the blame goes to NRS. Why? I giving them more because you guys made the game. At the end of the day, you guys said that you had more time, and that more time equate to nothing.
Yeah. I don't
So
I don't see
you
it.
guys made this mess. Even if NRS, even if Warner Bros. Force you, you guys made games before in 2 years or less, and they were probably not the best, like Injustice or MK11. Wasn't really well received by the community as a whole. But those games were more polished than a
Yeah.
game that you had
The polish has
more
been
time
lacking.
on.
Yeah.
Like it
So
doesn't make any sense. So even if Warner Bros. Marketing is scummy and they put all kind of money, like grabbing things in the game and shit, the game itself is the problem. If the game was actually finished and fun, people would overlook all this scummy shit that Warner Bros. Doing.
so
Warner Bros. Just probably would have get the blame, but no. Your game itself that you guys claim you had more time on is less polished than almost every other game.
right. And
Like it makes no sense.
the way I see it is, uh, obviously there's three major factors that should take blame, right?
Yeah,
The community, NetherRealm Studios, and WB. WB for one does not give NRS the budget nor the proper timing to execute a game like Mortal Kombat. And we know this. Then you have the $10 fatalities. The problem is the game is riddled with issues. Instead of focusing on the issues, the first thing you will add into the game is microtransactions.
yeah. I know. Don't even talk about the pre-order fucking like
The 5
um.
days early access pre-order, people
Yeah,
paying $140 something, $150 something for this game, and the online doesn't work. The characters lack depth. I don't understand it. But that's WB side. Now for NRS,
you're
because
taking things away from characters just
you
as a whole. Like this kind of like bleed back into gameplay. Right now we on the communication
right,
and like the blame point of, but just overall, you know. Just you guys taking things away from character in a game that you guys advertise as freedom and
right,
creativity. You guys, what is Scorpion? Look at Scorpion in MK9 and Injustice 1 and MKX, and they compare those three Scorpions to MK11 and MK1 Scorpion. I think that even this Scorpion is worse than MK1 Scorpion, and
that
MK1
MK11's
Scorpion wasn't
better.
even good.
You mean MK11? MK1
I mean,
Scorpion.
MK11. I always
Yeah,
mixing up the two,
yeah,
but in
you
my head, they're the same games.
yeah.
They're the same games. So how?
MK1 MK1 Scorpion is just quietly and cosplaying as Hanzo.
Yeah,
It's
like
not really
look at
Scorpion.
Kung Lao. Well, you guys took Kung Lao teleport away from. Why
And
are
put
you
it in the
taking
cameo.
characters' core moves away from them? Why are you taking? You literally just bleeding out the characters.
Right.
They're pretty much dead.
So
So like just overall, just the marketing. You say the game is about freedom and creativity, but Scorpion can only do one thing in neutral.
into
Try to
cameo.
fit by his confirm cameo.
And
Like it makes no sense.
there's too many strangleholds when it comes to the different kind of characters that you make. For Kung Lao is beyond reworking because Kung Lao has been stripped down so much that it's only a cameo that can save Kung Lao, and people are
Unless
asking
you just unless you just build a character from the ground
from
up
the
again
ground
and
up
just give
again,
him
which we
everything.
know
Like
that you will not do.
you can buff anything on Kung Lao, his frame data, whatever, and the character still be boring
Yeah,
because you made a boring character from the base up.
yeah.
He's boring. Kung Lao is not interesting. I don't like the character that much. He's not one of my favorites, but Kung Lao in MKX was it. Kung Lao in MK11 was even more interesting than the Kung Lao in this game. And this game's supposed to be more creative than MK11, but characters in this game doing less. It makes no sense.
So
And the cameos supposed to be the creativity. That's the
yeah,
joke. Because the cameos, most of the 99% of the time, people only use one move out of the three or four. People only
yeah.
use one move.
You're a poster boy,
So then the game just become a spam fest of one thing over and over, like Raiden into Cyrax or Raiden into Kano, and you just getting hit by the same thing
by
over and over. That's
Damwon
not
Storm
enjoyable.
Cell. Yeah.
That's not enjoyable to play or to play against. I like
You're
as frustrating as MKX is, I like to play against characters that feel powerful like Hellfire Scorpion,
Yeah.
like Liu Kang, even though they're broken as all hell. Because when I play against those characters, I feel like I'm going up against gods.
Yeah.
So it made me feel like I gotta become a god too, or a
S-
demon, whatever you want to call it.
You
But
need.
in these games, I just feel like just I rather go outside and just walk. I mean that's what you probably should be doing either way,
It's
but
healthier for you.
I just prefer. I love video games. I grew up on video games from the moment I was like 3 years old, 4 years old. Probably even before then, but I grew up on video games. This is my favorite thing to do. And if I choosing to go outside and do something that I probably won't even normally do, or just do something else that I won't normally do,
Yeah.
over playing your game is boring.
So
Because I love to play video games. I love Mortal Kombat.
let me say
And
this:
since MKX, my passion to like really grind this game is just gone. I don't only MKX keep me on Mortal Kombat.
the solution to this problem is firstly you need to incentivize all game plans. People are going to complain for sure, but as was said before, um, when Street Fighter came out, people praised Street Fighter. Street Fighter is in a great place right now, but guess what? People are complaining. But the game is fun.
Yeah,
Right now, Tekken is all the rage. Right now, Tekken comes tomorrow, or by the time I upload this video, Tekken will be up already.
yeah.
Give Tekken some time, people are going to
People
complain
gonna
again.
complain.
But the response to the complaints and how much the game has to offer will subside in time, and people will naturally just get bored. So it's up to the developers to make a game that can retain people. The problem with Mortal Kombat is that Mortal Kombat can obtain people, but Mortal Kombat cannot retain people. No NRS game can retain an audience because they don't have a legacy. They switch it up every game, and every
Yeah,
every
so
time,
the community is divided because one community like MKX, the other one like MK9, like
yeah,
Tom Brady and those guys. The other one's like MK11, but to be honest, to each their own. But I just believe like if you like MK11 or MK1, especially MK11, if you truly believe that game is fun, you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo. I know fun is subjective, and I'm not trying to like, but I'm just saying, as I tell my boy all the time, there's just something that you know I feel is more objective than there are some things that are more objective than subjective, and I just feel like objectively that is a bad game, you
yeah.
know. So,
MK11 had too many problems, and I don't want MK1 to go down the same route. Now,
but honestly, I don't want it to, but I want it to die because I feel like that's the only way NRS will learn. If we keep putting up with this shit and letting them do this shit, and they come around a year and a half from now and finally drop a patch that is good enough, like MK11 last few patches were good enough with the custom variations to it's still not fun, but at least it's not like the beginning when characters were really restricted, right?
right.
So like we can't let them keep doing this, dropping a half-ass game and then a year into the game try to give the game another second chance at life. Like just drop a good game from the get-go. Drop
You
a
what?
good game.
Look at your games. Look at your games. You saw what worked. You saw what didn't work. Incentivize all playstyles and have a rich system mechanic. Have rich system mechanics that can cater for the diverse playstyles.
Yeah,
Something is only broken when there's no answers to it. Had you had the problem was not to nerf zoning to the ground and get rid of zoning. The problem was allow for projectiles to clash, allow for better movement, a better movement system. Because what you
yeah.
did is you added a whole set of anti-zoners to the game and took out zoning. So one,
You see, that's like with MK11 not crossing you, but in MK11, let me show you how bad it was. You guys decided that some characters deserve the wave dash and others don't. So then the characters that can't wave dash, they are struggling the most by characters that keep them away.
yeah, and then you have
Because
people
for
complaining
some
about
reason
zoning.
only some characters can do it. Like
Yeah,
who does that shit? Who as a developer of 30 years, you guys really think that was a good idea? You guys need to take inspiration from other companies and other games because you guys clearly don't know what you're doing if left on your own, right? You guys really need to go into other communities and see what works, and then of course add your own flair on it, your
Yeah,
own NRS stamp of approval. But fundamentally, a lot of shit in your game, just decision wise, I don't. The common sense is not there.
yeah.
As
I,
something as simple as hiding people player cards when you add the option to decline people so they can't just duck matches. That duh, we my boy here thought of that in like 2 minutes.
we thought
You
about
guys
that before there was even a Wi-Fi filter.
exactly. You even call it out and say, yo, if they do add a Wi-Fi filter, they need to hide player cards because people are gonna just duck on purpose.
Yeah.
They brought it out, added to the game, and they didn't do it. And I'm just like, someone sitting down at home that is not a professional could think of that in 2 minutes, and you guys doing this shit for 30 years and you guys never thought of it. Other companies do. So that's why I say you guys need to go out and take inspiration just as a whole from other companies.
From
Because
other
before,
companies.
yes, people used to talk about NRS is the benchmark of what a real fighting game is because you guys present so much in your game.
But now every
But
other game has
but not
presentation.
every other company got a presentation
So
because they copying you guys play. They're copying you guys and making it better.
so you know what's the
But you
thing?
guys, for some reason, not taking shit from them that made their games better.
Let me tell you something,
You know?
Gus. Let me tell you something. All NRS had was presentation. Now the other
Yeah, I
companies,
agree.
the other companies are doing it. It falls back to what really matters, the gameplay.
Gameplay.
But that's where NRS is weak at. So the the solutions to that is, for one, you need to find a legacy and an identity. For
Yeah,
example, there are certain things in this game, because it feels like a 3D game on a 2D plane. It has problems like the projectiles passing through each other, which result in unbearable zoning, or just, zoning that you can't get through, especially when you have a health deficit. You have things like the duck OS. You have the poke system, which is all over the place. In this game, it's like this. Now pokes are deaf on block. You need a simple fix to that is allowing for stand ones and stand twos to register as mids. You do that, you get rid of the poke issue. The
yeah.
game the game needs to have an identity, especially moving forward. I suggest that NRS go through all the MKs, especially if it's another Mortal Kombat that they decide to make. Go through all your games, find out what worked, find out what didn't work, and make the game have let the game have an identity.
If you
Incentivize
take
all
anything,
playstyles.
if you take anything from MKX, take the depth system, the creativity.
Take the creativity of
As broken as
MKX.
MKX is, and it do, the problems are there for sure. The creativity just outweighs everything else. There's so many ways to play. Like you can see 10 people playing the same character and they each have their own play style. I
Yeah,
don't see that in MK
you
11
can
or 1.
you can
I even saw
identify.
it somewhat in Injustice 2.
Yeah,
Characters still had their identity. Players still had their identity. The game
yeah.
was a zone fest and it was pretty much a lot like it was really slow at times. A lot of the times, but still everybody has somewhat of an identity with their character.
If
In
you
MK11 and 1, then it everybody does the same thing.
Yeah,
Like my brain literally fried on MK1 in 3 weeks because it was like, yo, I seen it all. There's nothing else you can do in this game that's gonna wow me from this point. Even if you add a new cameo, all it's gonna do is come in the game and add combos to a character, to the same character.
if
Like what you gonna do with Chameleon and Lee May? Okay, just do Lemire combos with Chameleon because she allow for Lemire combos, just like Scarpin allow for Lemire combos. It's just about combos with the cameos. Like they're not interesting. The cameos they don't even say anything, so I don't even. realize that they're there most of the time.
A lot of the
You know, like
a lot of the cameos have free special moves. One out of the free special moves get used. So in my final point, I want to say the game is a tag game. This is
yeah,
the identity of this game. In future, pick a formula that works and stick to that formula, incentivize all playstyles, and introduce in-depth system mechanics that can deal with all of those playstyles clashing so nothing feels too broken. But this
yeah,
game right now, MK1, is a tag game. It should accept that it's a tag game, and people should learn to accept that tag games are not fair by nature. Tag games are not fair. So if it's a tag game, let it operate like a tag game. I
yeah.
want
So yeah, me too. On my final points,
yeah,
overall, just like a touch up on each point. I don't find the gameplay to be fun, and I know that's subjective, but trust me, if I'm a fun junkie, especially when it comes to video games. I play a lot of video games, and I know what the fun is. And this is for me, this is not it. Just like how MK11 was not it. Like this game is not it.
yeah.
It's very repetitive.
So
The only thing in this game is combos, and like the combos themselves are not even that diverse. Cause everybody just do the same thing, and like you know, even if
I
you change the cameo, so what? Like the cameos themselves are not even interesting. They don't even speak. Like they're just there as like just tools.
they're just
They have
extra
no
tools that can do it.
personality,
But
nothing.
I
You know,
mean,
like
I can accept that as long as the game is fun. And I will go out saying I'll go out on saying this. The game has potential, but it needs to be true to what it is, at least for now. Right now, as I said before, it's a tag game. So to solve that issue, you need to buff some characters, some of the main roster characters. They're so simple that they're unreworkable. So leave that as it is, buff the assists, allow for more ambush assists, reduce the recovery on some summon assists. That will allow the game to open up. Now, when you do that, a Cyrax meta will come back. Cyrax metas will come back. Guess what? That's just tag games. What I want you to do as a response to that meta coming back is to introduce some system mechanics that even your previous games had to allow to deal with that kind of onslaught of pressure. Like the
like for
invulnerable
example,
backdashes.
I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but like just options like maybe you can turn any assist into an ambush if you spend 1 bar.
That would balance out
Something like
things a
that.
bit. You can turn
That would
any
make the game here more creative because then all the moves become useful rather than people just spamming one move
right.
with a cameo. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can spend 1 bar to turn any move into an ambush. That would be creative. Now the answers, that's what I was getting to. So the answers to deal with everything, because the Cyrax metas will come back as I said before, is you can look to your past games. Even your past games had answers for your current game. But you wouldn't know that because you keep changing up the formula. So here's what you do. For when the Cyrax metas come back, you add stronger defense mechanics to deal with that, like an invulnerable backdash, like a push block. Mechanics like these are answers to things like Cyrax, or at least pre-patch Cyrax.
Yeah.
You don't need to nerf something. You don't need to nerf something to make it balance. You can just make the counter to that thing stronger. Like, for example, if jump ins are too strong, you don't need to make the game heavier. You simply just need to add stronger anti-airs. So,
Hmm.
that's our general thoughts in this quick little podcast. We hope
Like
everyone
yo,
we hope
I'm
everyone
down for
enjoyed.
part two if people enjoy. Like we can go
Yeah,
more in depth. Like if you guys want to hear more in depth gameplay on, I mean, just more topic on the gameplay, or you guys want us to go more in depth on like communication and just the community as a whole,
yep.
just drop in the comment section and
Let us know your
we just
ideas too.
giving a quick brainstorm of what we think right now and
Yeah. considering the community is ablaze right now.
Yeah.
So
And plus, too, we from the Caribbean, as you guys notice, so
yeah,
and probably
forgive
accent
forgive
barriers
the
and shit,
accents. Yeah. hmm So
but yeah, man.
so thanks for watching this podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, peace.